Imagine this. You know, when you're flying in an airplane, you look out the airplane window and you see all these cornfields and soybean fields, and it's mostly just soybean and corn, probably more corn than soybeans. It just staggers my imagination that there is so much land out there that's being used to grow nothing but corn. It's nuts. Now, just imagine if all of those fields, or at least most of them, were replaced with these superfoods that the earth grows, such as moringa and spirulina and other stuff that's out there, and the goji berry, and all these other foods that have healing properties in them that actually activate the body to enable its own healing mechanisms to heal itself. Just imagine if we had that. First of all, there's your prevention right there to prevent a whole host of chronic illnesses, cancers, and degenerative problems that this nation is so plagued with right now. Just imagine. That would be wow. That would be if we just changed the way we interacted with the planet, with the stuff that we grow, we could literally have an epidemic of health rather than an epidemic of sickness and people dying from what they put in their mouths for so many years. That would be pretty awesome. But alas, look out an airplane window today and all you see are cornfields, cornfields, and cornfields, and cornfields. And isn't it amazing? You go to a supermarket, there's thousands and thousands of different foods, but we only grow largely one or two things. How can we have thousands of foods if we're only growing one or two things largely? Well, those thousands of foods are probably only about five or six different things disguised as thousands of other things. It's a hoax. It's a fraud. The supermarket is just one big gigantic fraud, and it's unhealthy. 95% of the stuff you find in a typical grocery store is going to be toxic, poisonous, nutrient deficient crap that you eat for years and years, and then you get sick. And then we associate it with that's part of getting older. No, it's part of time passing that eventually exposes you for your daily error in judgment to eat the wrong foods day after day, year after year. It's not getting old. It's just doing the wrong thing and eating the wrong thing for so many years. And then you have these problems, and then the average person passes it off at old age. It's complete BS. It's not true. Now, I don't think that anyone is, I don't think most people are lying. I think people honestly believe it's just part of old age because it's what we've been fed by things like, or entities like the FDA and the big pharmaceutical and big agriculture and things like that, and the government. That's part of the, I don't want to say brainwashing that's going on, but I mean, in the end, people are, sort of brainwashed and they heavily subscribe to these things. We are so, yeah, I'll say it, brainwashed that when we get cancer, almost all of us were immediately just going to go for the chemotherapy, the radiation, the surgeries, the stuff that kills more people than it saves. And what's left of a life that's been stricken with cancer is a life that's in misery with the headaches and the nausea, the hair falling out, and all these other things. We poison the body so badly. One of the first things that happens is our hair falls out. And that's our response to a sick body that's already vulnerable and low on its own energy stores. We're just going to make it more sick. That, oh my God, I know that's good for big business and big pharmaceutical, but it's at the expense of our health. It's even at the expense of our living good. But there's these natural therapies out there. That's why, me personally, if I was ever diagnosed with some terrible disease like that, or any disease, I'm going for the natural therapies. There's no side effects. I'm going to feel really good. People that go for these natural therapies, such as the Gerson therapy, which seems to be my personal favorite. If I ever get cancer, Gerson therapy, right away. I'm going to their hospital in Tijuana, Mexico. Unfortunately, it's illegal. It's all but illegal to cure cancer in the United States. The Gerson therapy specifically is entirely illegal in the United States. So if you want it, you got to leave the country and go to their hospital in Mexico. That's completely absurd. But if the government starts messing with our health insurance, then that's going to be the thing that puts us up in arms. Are you kidding me? What about the messing with our food they've done? They've so badly engineered our food that there are former food engineers that are on record as saying, I just couldn't do my job anymore because I couldn't consciously make something that's hurting and killing people. You know what I'm saying? All these foods out there that have food colorings on them, these dyes, these modified starches, the artificial sweeteners, and all these other things, the hyper flavors that are put in there, all these foods that are not made by nature but engineered by people, those things are poisonous. They kill you over enough years of eating them. They will give you chronic disease and they will kill you. And you know, the good food engineers that actually learn this and then exercise a good conscience by getting out of it and then going on record to put people on notice that if you eat this stuff, you're poisoning your body. Oh, wow. So that's like the sixth or seventh tangent I've gone on in this video. Hope you all are enjoying it. I just push record and go freestyle. But there's so many food problems in this country, and before the food problem, there's just a mindset problem. We're willing to eat all this food to save money, right? That's the big reason to get the cheap food is so that we save money. And then we end up broke anyway. And by the way, now we're sick, and we have to put all that money that could have gone towards the farmers growing the better foods. That money could have gone towards those things, but instead we're going to put that money into the hospitals, and we're going to put more money into the hospitals than we could have just spent on the farmers growing the better food. So we feel like crap because we're sick, and we're spending all the money on the hospitals, and we're still broke, which was our first primary reason for buying the cheap food, to save money. It's just so backwards. And then we're messed up enough once we get diagnosed with a disease or two or three or four, because most people that get a chronic illness, they get more than one because they just can't stop. And they go for the wrong treatments, the ones that hurt them and make it worse rather than make it better. And we go for the modern medicine and we just put all of our faith and hope into our doctor, which doesn't know anything about nutrition and the amazing chemicals that the right foods and exercise and meditation release from the brain to actually heal us. We're not prescribed food or exercise or any of those kinds of things. Almost always we're not prescribed anything like that. And if the doctor says anything about food, it's typically eat your fresh fruits and vegetables, which is more poisonous advice because 98% of people out there, when they hear that, if they even follow it, they're going to get the fruits and vegetables that were grown in nutrient deficient fields, sprayed with poisonous chemicals, plants that are so sick that they're on life support while they're being grown, cultivated, and harvested. And then you're going to eat that crap because your doctor said eat your fresh fruits and veggies. That's absurd. And then you're going to get even more sick. And then if you get cancer, you're going to just poison your body from the inside out with chemo, radiation, and oh my God, we need our heads examined big time. I mean, I know that most of us just don't know, but how can we possibly not be hungry enough to go out there, do our own research, and seek for this knowledge so that we can make these discoveries that can drastically, radically change our lives, and for most of us, even save our lives and the lives of our kids and so on and so forth. I just don't know what the bleep and bloody hell is wrong with us, with most people. One of the most there's two, I don't like to draw on statistics much because most of them are pretty uninteresting, but there's two of them that really grab at me. And okay, maybe three of them. I just thought of another one. But one of them is 95 to 98% of all people by the age of 65 are going to end up either broke or, well, they're going to be either dead or broke, depending on family, friends, and government as their main source of income. Again, that's just time exposing your daily bad error and judgment. Dead or broke by 65, 98% of us? Yikes. Another one that grabs me, the second of three, I guess, is somewhere between 8 and 9 out of 10 people, somewhere between 8 and 9 out of 10 people are going to die from a chronic disease brought on by lifestyle choice. There's our big food supply, and then poisoning ourselves with the big pharmaceuticals to treat chronic illness, which makes it worse and kills us. 8 or 9 out of 10 people dead from chronic disease from choices we make in our lifestyles. Come on, people. We got to make some massive changes. And then the third one, and perhaps the most disturbing of them all, is that the biggest demand for casket makers in our country right now is for the short, wide caskets because our kids are dying faster than ever from obesity-related problems. And that goes back to the foods that they're being fed by their parents, guardians, most of whom I'm sure mean well. We just don't know. And when it comes to our kids, how can we not then be hungry enough to do our own research and seek for the knowledge to make the discoveries so that our kids don't have to literally freaking die and end up 6 feet underground in a short, wide casket because that's the big spike in demand for casket makers right now. How can we still not be hungry enough to go after that knowledge and actually start questioning the status quo? 8 out of 10 people dead from chronic disease made by lifestyle choices. Casket makers, the big spike in demand, short and wide for our kids who are dying. And 98% of people by the age of 65 dead or broke, depending on friends, family, and government for the main source of their income. How can we not be questioning the status quo any more than we are? In fact, most people, if you tell them things like veganism is the way to go because it's got all the complete proteins and more calcium than milk ever could, despite what the government and FDA and Big Pharma has told us, how can we not start questioning what we've been told all this time? All these complete absurd lies that are killing us because we're buying into them. I mean, really, all these three big statistics that I just drew upon just now, the kids dying and 8 out of 10 people dying because of lifestyle choices, the foods that we eat. 98% by the age of 65 either dead or broke. How can we not question the status quo? Seriously, can somebody answer me that question? And then if we get some good answers out there, ones that really resonate with why most people want to challenge the status quo, maybe then we have an angle to use, something that we could base our discussions off of that's going to inspire people to start questioning the status quo and to start being their own advocate and not blaming everything on age or genetics, which equates to a moral cowardice if you're just going to be laxed because, oh, it's genetics. It's genetics that I'm going to get diabetes or that I'm going to get cancer or that I'm going to end up obese. It's genetics. That equates to moral cowardice. It makes it easy to sit back and do nothing and just cry victim when it actually happens. All that means, if it's genetics, is that you have a higher propensity if you become relaxed. So it's all the more reason to not be laxed about it and eat the right foods, the most amazing foods that the planet grows. Just spend the extra money on that instead of the extra money plus more extra money on the hospital because you didn't spend the extra money on the foods that's going to heal you or prevent those things from happening that supposedly run in your bloodline. Right? I mean, why not? You gotta start challenging the status quo, guys and gals. 8 out of 10 people dead from choices. Kids dying, casket makers, short and wide, that's the big demand. 98% of you are going to be dead or broke by the age of 65. Challenge the status quo. We can't grow and become better if we keep things the way that they are. And it's just going to get worse, man. Just shy of 20% of our GDP actually goes towards treating disease. That just shy of 20%. Imagine how many hundreds of billions of dollars that is that could go towards other things to actually grow the economy and grow better food so that we get healthier and all these other things that are happening. Give our troops the body armor they need for when we send them overseas into harm's way to fight for our freedom and the other things that they're fighting for. All these the kids that don't have health insurance that actually die from things that are preventable if only they had health insurance. I mean, just think about it. If we shifted that hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars from treating disease over into these other things, how different life could be and better quality it could be for all of us. I mean, we could feed the homeless. We could do so many things. Challenge the status quo, guys. Do something about it.